E te ti, e te tā, e te rau e te rau nau mai, piki mai ki tata iko. A koe ko Taiaroa ne o tēnei, e wakapā o atu i te teihana nei ki te korimako o Taranaki. E kōrero ana māua ko Dion Tuuta i te ata nei. E pāna ki tēnei kaupapa waka ira ira o tātou o Aotearoa wānui o Taranaki nui tonu e te iwi. Tēnei kaupapa a Womad. E wā mā Womad 2024, ki roto i te ware ki Pukekura Park, Pukekura, the TSB Bowl of Brooklands, e wā mā e timata i te rangi nei, e haere tonu mō ngā rangi e toru. Nō reira, e mihi tēnei ki te kai waka aere, te tiamana o tēnei komiti waka aere o Womad New Zealand, Ata Marie, Dion.
Morena i hoa.
Morena. O tira e tātou mā e wakarongo mai nei, ki runga i te reo irirangi Māori o te korimako, ki koutou oki e mātakitaki mai, ki runga i a pukamata oki, tēnei tini i o te ata. Morena unks. Honestly, I was thinking to myself, do I call him uncle? Do I call him cousin? And I think it should be appropriate that I call you uncle. Just makes me that little bit more famous when I know people such as yourself. Now, big couple of days ahead, big 3 days ahead, and no doubt all the planning involved with Womad for 2024 has just been right up there. We've had things like COVID push a whole lot of our events out. But first up, tell us what your role is and how are you involved in Womad New Zealand?
Well, kia ora Taiaroa. Kia ora whānau. So, my name's Dion, and I'm the relatively new chairman of Womad New Zealand Charitable Trust. So I joined the Womad board about the middle of last year as an independent trustee, and I was lucky enough to be asked to be the chair of the board. So I've been the chair of Womad since I think it was around about sort of July, August last year. I used to previously be on the board of the Taranaki Arts Festival Trust when, a number of years ago. But when I moved to Wellington, I came off the board. When I came back home in 2021, I'd always hoped to rejoin the Womad whānau, and I was lucky enough to be asked to come back. So Womad is something that's very, very special to me. It's something that I've had, my children have grown up with. It's something that's been a fantastic part of our community, bringing the entire world to Ngāmotu, to Taranaki, and letting the world experience who we are as well. So it's a magnificent occasion.
Absolutely. It sure is. Tell us, what is the significance of Womad Aotearoa, Womad New Zealand Festival, and how does this event differ from other events in Aotearoa?
That's a really good question. I think the event was, Womad was originally started in the United Kingdom by Peter Gabriel and a gentleman called Thomas Bruman and a few others. And it was really, so Womad stands for the world of music and dance. And at that time, Peter Gabriel, who's fairly famous, he was pretty big in the 80s and 90s, he's pretty famous. He was involved in world music. He had a lot of friends, like really, really famous musicians in Africa and from all around the world. And he saw, and he understood the power of music and dance and culture, of bringing that together to, mainly at that time, I suppose, give people in England an experience of non-mainstream music, because most of us, most people back in that time would have heard their music through the radio, and mainstream radio would never play these sort of international artists, and so the focus was really about opening up human connection, intercultural exchange, global exchange. And really promoting, actually, it's really about promoting peace and understanding between cultures, because, there's an essential rhythm or heartbeat that runs through every human, and that's captured in music from all around the world. And I was at the Pōuri last night, at Murudopatu. One of the most fantastic things about Womad for me is going to the pōwiri. And you, you know, as Māori, we have our pōwiri process. We understand that. We live in that. And you can see how it just resonates with whānau who come from all around the world. They felt the aroha that we were expressing. They saw themselves actually in us. And so a lot of the whānau at the pōwiri get up and they called it all back to us in their own language. They didn't know what we were saying, I roto i te reo, although Damon was there translating to Baba Mal and to some of the other artists. But they didn't know what we were saying, but they felt what we were saying. And they got up and spoke back to us in their language, and we didn't know what they were saying, but we felt what they were saying. And then they as we would do a waiata tautoko, they would do a waiata tautoko for theirs. And it was, you know, it's really, you know, it was things like that where, you know, the intimacy of those sort of events where you get to really understand how human beings can connect no matter who we are around the world if we're open-minded to it and we open our hearts to that sort of stuff. So, yeah, that's why Womad's special to me.
Amazing. And it really is. And I guess for all Indigenous cultures, doesn't matter what language you're speaking, it's that kōrero aha wairua. And I guess that's what really sets us apart from the rest of the world. So in terms of having the Womad Festival that, like you said, has been going for such a long time, and throughout the world, I see Canada, Australia, the USA also hosts, a number of countries host the Womad Festival. So when they come down to Aotearoa, and like Peter has said, it's one of the most beautiful places to have a festival like Womad and bring that music, bring that aroha, bring that dance, and share that with the people of Aotearoa. So amazing. We're celebrating 21 years of the Womad Festival here in Ngāmotu. What's different about this year's event, and what can visitors expect at Womad for 2024?
I think, actually, just one of the points you made there, one thing that most people don't know is that Womad Aotearoa is the smallest Womad in the world. New Plymouth is a city of around about 70,000 people. It's the smallest place that actually holds a Womad. And that's one of the things that makes it most unique. Last night at the pōwiri, people were asking, how come this festival, this worldwide festival, is being held in this tiny little place? And it was really because of the vision of the Taranaki Arts Festival Trust to partner with Womad UK and bring it out. So it's one of the things that's actually quite special about it. And of course, you know, those of us who live here know that Taranaki is the best place in the world anyway. Right. In terms of what's different about this year, essentially, it's always the artists, right? The artists bringing their one of the great things about Womad for me is that, and I'm a big fan of music. I follow music, but I don't know who a lot of these artists are. I don't know, and so it's really like the lucky dip of getting to go out and experience new things. So the key thing that's always different is the artists. It's the layout and everything this time is going to be pretty much similar to previous years. The weather, although Friday today hasn't started out so well, we're expecting that it's going to clear up, and it's going to be a great weekend. So it's going to be another fantastic Womad weekend for us. But I think one of the things, like I mentioned, as we come onto the board, one of the things we're doing after 21 years, it is time to actually have a look at the format, how it's been going. It's a reality, right? The cost of living is getting more expensive for whānau. It's getting more expensive to go to Womad. So we need to, and we don't want cost to be a barrier. So we as a board, we're looking at how we might be able to review Womad, review our purpose, our goals, what we're trying to do, because we're wanting to make the festival as accessible to as many whānau as possible. And so it's been great to have Tuiora come on board as a premium partner this year, because through their relationship, they're going to make access available to a number of our whānau who might not otherwise have had the opportunity to come to Womad, right, previously. So that partnership with Womad's going to be with Taiaroa is going to be very, very important moving forward, as it is with all of our other partners, which includes groups like, well, of course, the New Plymouth District Council, without which we couldn't hold Womad here in New Plymouth. So big ups to the NPDC. We have TSB Bank, of course, who've been a long time supporter of the festival. You have groups like OMV, you have groups like Boone, and many, many others. And that's without saying the volunteers as well. The volunteers from the community who come and just give up 3 days of their time to make this festival really successful. It's a real community event.
It is, and family orientated, absolutely, and right throughout the world. We're talking about 70,000 people in Taranaki, and a number of people that no doubt will come from around Aotearoa to join in the festivities. That is Womad. You also mentioned about the partnership and partnering up with Taiaroa. Talk to us about that decision to partner with Taiaroa and how that relationship builds on the Māori influence to the festival.
Yeah, well, Taiaroa has actually been involved with Womad pretty much since the beginning. But this year, under the leadership of Lana Ruakere, the new CEO, kia ora, Alana. The team Taiaroa stepped up to become a sort of one of the key partners. And in talking with Alana about that, she understands the healing power of music. Right? It's the ability for music to actually help people, as not just as entertainment, but to help people. In terms of some of the things that they're going through. Music is like an emotional power. It's an emotional force, right, which can help people work through issues and all those sorts of things. But Taiaroa has, they've seen this partnership with Womad as being a way of sort of advancing their kaupapa. They will have a presence on the site, as they always have, but this year they're going to have a bigger presence. They're going to be in charge of hauora and well-being on site. So it's a good opportunity for them to actually, for outreach for Taiaroa on the event, which is going to, we're probably going to have, I'm not exactly sure of how many of total numbers. I know we've sold something like about 8,000 3-day passes for the festival, but there's also those who just buy one day passes as well. So Taiaroa, we actually had the launch of Womad last year in October at Taiaroa, which was fantastic because normally it's done, previously it was done in Parliament down in Wellington. So it was fantastic to be actually able to launch the festival here at home in Taiaroa itself. So that was great as well.
Makes so much more sense to just bring everything home, doesn't it?
It sure does. It saves you a lot of money.
Yeah. The other thing is, 7,000 to 8,000 tickets already sold, and no doubt there will be people just with a little bit of FOMO, that fear of missing out, and thinking to themselves, "Oh man, I can afford to go for one day, whatever it is." That's the amount of people that we're expecting to see at the festival this year. Tell us about some of the positive impacts on the local economy and the communities that Womad brings.
Really, actually, the interesting thing about Womad is around about 60%, and maybe even a bit higher this year, 60% of the audience actually comes from outside Taranaki. So you get all of that economic influx coming in. So basically, if getting a hotel rooms, the local what do you call it, hospitality sector sort of benefits from all of that. The economic sort of impact of Womad, I think one year, I can't remember the last time they did one of these, but it was estimated to be something like, the festival brought in something like $11 million or something to the economy. Wow. It's quite a big number in terms of economic impact. But I think one of the good things about it, what it does is that for those who have never been to Taranaki before and they come here for the festival, they get to actually see how magnificent a region we live in, how wonderful it is. And there are people that I've met people who have moved to Taranaki after coming to a Womad concert, realizing how wonderful our place is, and just people want to live here, which I've always found found amazing. As a result of Womad, I've got friends from all around the world now. You know, I've met people at concert, at the festival. I've met artists. I've been really lucky in terms of some of the roles that I've had with things to meet some really, really cool people who I still have relationships with now. Our board has 3 independent trustees. So there's myself, there's our mayor, Neil Holdham, and there's the wonderful Emily Wano, without whom nothing happens. We have two trustees from Taranaki Arts Festival Trust. So Glenn Brebner, who's the chair of the trust, I believe, and Chris Lynch, and we have 2 trustees from Womad UK. So Mr. Mike Large, who I think is the chief executive of Womad, and Chris Smith, who is the chief operating officer for Womad UK. So the good thing is, you know, we're part now of this. So Taranaki, I guess, is part of a global network of the arts, actually, by those relationships. The festival itself is actually run by the Taranaki Arts Festival Trust, and our CEO there is Suzanne Porter, and she's got a magnificent team of people there that work exceedingly hard to put this festival on. And basically, as soon as this festival's over, they'll be starting planning for the next one. It's like running Te Matatini every year. All right.
This is the Te Matatini or world music, I suppose.
Yeah, pretty much. And
except it's not a competition, rather it's a sharing of the aroha.
Yeah, exactly. So, and next year, interestingly, Te Matatini is running. I think it's 2 weeks before Womad next year, and so, you know, there's a lot of logistical planning that needs to be thought into about all of that. You know, because it's not like you can just postpone it really quickly, and so you've got to be really, really onto it in terms of your planning and your organisation. Yeah. So,
I mean, $11 million. Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, yeah. So the key thing is that it brings people in. It brings people to Taranaki to connect and talk and share ideas, and while they're here, they spend a lot of money, and which is good for the economy locally. But hopefully, the key thing is that people like have their minds open to different cultures, and, you know, positivity. Really, the positivity that arts and culture bring. If you go away from a Womad without thinking, man, I never thought about that before, or I've experienced something new and it was great, then Womad's probably not for you. But no,
Womad is for everybody. E te iwi. But I mean, $11 million adding to the local economy, and no doubt all these people that are from around our country coming and descending underneath the beautiful Maunga Taranaki. There will be people stopping, you know, in places like Pātea, you know, throughout the whole region. So that positive impact, I guess, stretches far and wide around our Maunga, and not just Ngāmotu. And we have things like the introduction of X amount of cruise ships coming into Taranaki now.
Yeah.
It's been named as one of the top regions in the world to visit, to live, to work. So, you know, with festivals like Womad, I'm just really impressed at the amount of ma'i that goes on behind the scenes. And speaking about that, actually, I just want to acknowledge the scale of the ma'i and the work that's involved in bringing an event like Womad Aotearoa to Ngāmotu. What does it take to bring an event like this, of this size, to life?
It takes quite a lot of money to do that. So that's a factor. You know, it's a multi-million-dollar production, which is required. It requires technical expertise. You know, putting on stage shows of these magnitudes, the logistics of getting people in and out. This is why I'm constantly amazed at our team at Taft and the mahi that Em does and Suzanne do. You know, you're liaising with people all around the world. You're trying to get, you know, 30, 40 artists from around the world to one place at one time, and then you're trying to get them on stage to make it sequence and flow so that the whānau and the audience have a fantastic experience. And then in all of the Womads that I've ever been to, I think I've seen one technical glitch over the years. So the stage production team that they have is world class, right? Then you have just the setup for the site. You have food. You have people coming in. Stall holders, people selling their stuff. Just the amount of logistics that goes into running that 3-day, that's just the 3-day festival. Then you've got the lead up of getting everything in. There's the things that people don't think about, like getting visas for people from, the other side of the world. One story I heard one time was, I think there was an African group. I can't remember where they were from, but they insisted that they only be paid in American cash dollars, right? So there's all of these. It's just things that you would not think about that go on behind the scenes. Which thankfully we have a huge amount of talented people, both here in Aotearoa and around the world, who specialise in doing that stuff, so that these artists can come. And it's not just artists, right? We have our local artists too. Artists from Aotearoa. We have speakers. We have the Taste the World event, so it's not just about music and dance. It's about other aspects of culture. So one of the great things is in the Taste the World session, artists come up on stage. They'll cook something from their culture while talking to the whānau about their life and having an interview while they're cooking. Little things like that. We have a speaker series going on this year, which again is another thing. So, where we have a number of speakers coming in to talk about their kaupapa and things that they've been involved in. So people like Dr. Monty Suda is coming in. Jade Kake is coming in. We've got there's a huge lineup. So there's really something for everybody there for people coming in.
It's going to be amazing, Wānau, and I want to thank you, Dion, and all your team, Taiaroa. I wrote a few names down here to the Taranaki Arts Festival Trust, Taiaroa, MPDC, the TSB Bank, OMV and Boone, all the volunteers that are involved in making this event the amazing event that it is, and one of the hottest events on the Taranaki events calendar right here in Ngāmotu, e hoa mā Bowler, Brooklands, kicking off today at 4:30 and all the way through till Sunday at 11 p.m. We will be down there. Te Korimaku will be down there, and thank you to your team for getting us that accreditation when it came through. But for 3 days, e hoa mā, some of the world's best musicians, artists, dancers, storytellers and speakers from Taranaki, including a fine lineup from Aotearoa and the rest of the world, beneath the fluttering flags and underneath our beautiful maunga, e hoa mā. This is Womad celebrating 21 years right here in Taranaki. E hoa mā, nui rā te mihi atu ka koe, Dion. Any final words to anyone making their way to the festival?
Yeah, just please come and have a good time. But one thing I forgot to say, when you asked me what is it that Womad brings, I think one thing what I forgot to mention was, and again, this was at the Pōwiri last night, one of the things it does is that it gets the world, because nowhere else in the world has te ao Māori. And so one of the things that makes Womad New Zealand unique is the fact that it begins really with a Pōwiri. And so the world gets to see our culture and our whānau pretty much first. We're the ones who welcome them from around the world here to Taranaki. And I think one of the special things that I hope for me, that the artists who come here and experience Taranaki as a place, but they get to experience us as a whānau and as iwi and hapu and people. And they get to take that away with them. So, I mean, and there's real beauty and power in that. And I'm reminded, so yesterday at the Pōwiri, when Ziggy Marley got up and spoke, and he talked about how his father, when he came here in the 1970s, his father would often speak of the pōuri that he received when he came to Aotearoa. And he would often talk of that and the feeling that he had, the wairua that he got from the welcome that we as Te Ao Māori gave to Bob Marley back then. And Ziggy basically said that the stories that he heard from his father were what really made him want to come to Aotearoa, but also to experience the pōuri at Womad. So one of the great things that we can offer the world is who we are, and by being true to our tikanga and being true to ourselves, and just being Māori, and demonstrating that manaki and aroha that we have for whānau. So yeah, that's my last kōrero, bro.
Love that. And tautoko i ngā kōrero, kua kōrero here, Dion, mean Māori mean. Absolutely. I think of, I watched a couple of those documentaries about when Bob came to Aotearoa, and yeah, it's that manakitanga, it's that te akitanga, it's everything that makes us stand out from the rest of the world and makes us unique in our place that we call Aotearoa. So, mihi tēnei kia koe, Dion, te whai wā kia mātou. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wanting to head to the Womad Festival, starting today, the 15th day of March, e hoa mā, kicking off at 4:30, right at the Bowl of Brooklyn's Pukekura Park. It's on like Donkey Kong, right through till Sunday, e hoa mā, where the world descends on Taranaki to share in music and dance and kaupapa that are near and dear to our hearts. E hoa mā, head to the official website, www.womad.co.nz, for more information and get your tickets starting at around $160 a day. E te iwi. Thank you again, Dion, for coming on, and appreciate your time and appreciate your kōrero, and all the best for the upcoming days.
Ngā mihi e wā.
Tēnā koe.